And you look at that context of that film, of course, because it was in the wake of David Putnam's forming this great alliance with Goldcrest Films and Television through his company Enigma. And it really did signal the beginning of a burgeoning British boom. And it's at an odd time, because if you look maybe within a year what was happening in Hollywood, you suddenly had people like Ted Kotcheff, who some people may not know, but of course worked on the first Rambo film. And suddenly you got this Sylvester Stallone and this kind of macho cinema that was happening in America, Arnie movies, Stallone movies, and yet you were taking spectacular, epic art house to Hollywood from Britain.
Yeah, there was still an interest in filmmaking in Hollywood at that time. It's somewhat diminished nowadays, but you had visionaries really in terms of people like Terry Semel and Bob Daly at Warner Brothers, and their whole approach to the business was talent centric. So they were looking for originality and innovation and unusual stories told in unusual settings. So things like The Killing Fields and The Mission fitted those bills exactly. So nowadays it's much, much harder. I don't think these films would stand a chance of getting made now, which is very sad.
It is very sad, although I do see a connection. You had a very unique role, perhaps, dare I say, correct me if I'm wrong, in that you were a location manager come associate producer. And I guess if you're filming on location, that's a major cost. And getting all those consents, because even at low scale and having been involved in a very humble way, getting locations when they say, oh, sorry, we've changed our mind and you haven't got it all signed off. And I guess that would never be contemplated in what you're doing. But they were very much a part of what you did. And we'll go back to the epic spectacles of Mission, Killing Fields, City of Joy. But I see a connection there between that maybe and your most recent film, Mad Max Fury Road. Would I be right to say that?
Yeah, I mean, I think filmmaking is an extraordinary activity, and surprisingly few people really get it, which is that you have to be very forward-thinking and quite aggressive in pursuit of your goals. But on the other side, you have to be very vulnerable to change and able to adapt and be flexible. And that's not only about dealing with people who are outside of the filmmaking process, but also about dealing with people in the process. You usually have artists working right at the very centre of a big military machine. And the danger is that the military machine takes over and dominates the art. So that traditional battle between art on the one side and money on the other is where I live, right in the middle of that line.
Yes.
When it came back to the locations, I mean, locations are crucial to the telling of a story, or they should be in film. And I think it was very important to have the right locations, to have the right mentality, to have the minimum interference when you're shooting. And that can be quite a trick to pull.